Happy Memorial Day, everybody. I hope everyone had lots of fun this long Memorial Day weekend. I actually had a lot of fun myself, as yesterday I went to a pig roast with a lot of people from my hometown of Natick, Massachusetts. And okay, here's how I feel. I kinda had fun. But see, the problem is, I was never really one of the more popular kids, in my school. I was always more of an outcast, and I never really had a lot of friends. But see, at the time that I was still in high school, I thought that I did. But it's simply because I simply thought that anyone was my friend who I saw every day. I saw them every single day in school, and it was like 500 people, and that was fine with me. I'd get to talk to them for a little bit in the halls, and occasionally maybe even sit with some people at lunch. But that was 8 years ago since I graduated from that school, and those days are gone now. And I really miss those days a lot. I am in touch with a lot of them on Facebook, but that's not really the same. And a lot of the time, it's like when I see pictures of people hanging out with each other on Facebook, it'll always make me wish that I was there. I stated something very similar in one of my previous videos that I did a few years ago about how Facebook makes me really sad and depressed. And it sort of gave me a false sense of friendship. And when I first discovered it a few years ago, I tried adding all these people from my high school, and I was like, all right, finally, a way to bring the old days back. Like, oh wow, this is great being friends with all these people on Facebook who I haven't seen since high school. This makes me feel just like I'm right back there. And then in the fall of 2008 is when the Facebook chat thingy came out, and I started using that a lot. But it's like a lot of the time when I'd message people on there, they almost never respond. I've even had a few people block me on Facebook. And up until a few years ago, I wasn't really in touch with anyone from my hometown at all. But then one of my fellow classmates passed away because he died of cancer, which I couldn't believe. It's always very shocking and heartbreaking if somebody dies who's the same exact age as you, who you knew, even if you didn't really know them that well. And so I went to his funeral service, and almost everyone from my grade was there. And I don't think there were very many dry eyes in the house, if any. And a few months later, they had a fundraiser for him at this pub in the next town over from where I live. And I noticed that a lot of people had gotten a lot nicer to me than they were when I was back in school. So it made me want to reconnect with some of them. And I tried doing that. And sometimes it's okay, but a lot of the time I feel like it doesn't always work out the way that I want. Because sometimes I feel like they still treat me the same way that they did back when they knew me, back when I was in high school. And it really makes me feel sad. And as some of you know, I do have Asperger's syndrome, so that makes it even harder for me to make friends. And I feel like a lot of people aren't very accepting of me. And it's like they reject me because I have a disability. I've been in a few support groups for people with Asperger's, but I feel like they don't really let me be myself in those groups, and they try to like tell me who I should be friends with. And if I'm gonna be friends with people, I'd rather be friends with people of my own choice. And a lot of the times, like when I go to these parties of people from my hometown, I kind of feel like I don't have a disability, because I'm out at one of those events, and it makes me feel like I'm a part of it, and it makes me feel good. But sometimes when I go to those, I kind of feel isolated. And I've had a lot of trouble, especially with girls. I'm not looking for a girlfriend, but for some reason I always tended to focus on female friends rather than male friends. Because I really do care a lot about people's looks. And I mean, there's this one really good friend that I have who I've known online for several years. He's from upstate New York, and he's very similar to me, and he was just having a miserable life. He's a little bit older than me, and it's like he's been trying not to grow up. I mean, he's had jobs before, but he's usually had trouble with them. And then he ends up right back at ground zero. And then finally, his mom and his brother started getting all mad at him. And they finally kicked him out of the house. So then he came here to live with me. And I feel like all it's really doing is making me sad because, I mean, he's been succeeding since he's been here. But I miss him the way that he used to be. And he'd always call me up on the phone and tell me these sad, sad stories. And a lot of them had to do with getting in trouble with girls. And I'm really gonna miss that. Because it's gotten to the point where I'm so depressed, I often like hearing sad stories. Since I'm sad all the time, hearing other people's stories makes me feel better, because it lets me, because one way that I feel like just about everyone that I went to high school with is like so much more successful than me. I mean, a lot of them are now married. Some of them even have kids of their own. And even if not, it's like they have a full-time boyfriend or girlfriend and they live with them. And I'm still living at home with my parents. And it makes me feel out of place. Happy 4th of July, everybody. I just wanted to tell you about all these issues that I've had with girls. Because I've talked to a lot of girls within the last couple of years or so and wound up creeping most of them out. Usually because it's like I go up to them and try and talk to them, and sometimes they would talk to me back, but not always. And usually if they do, they don't say very much. And sometimes I message them on Facebook and ask them about their pictures. I figure that, since they posted their pictures on Facebook, then it would be okay to message them, since, they're public pictures, since they're on Facebook, and, I didn't do anything illegal to see them. So why would there be anything wrong with it? Well, because they've lectured me that they don't like it when I stalk them on Facebook. Because it's like sometimes I'd see them hanging out with each other and get upset because they didn't invite me. And I'd be like, I understand that you were here on this day, or you were at this person's house, or that person's wedding, blah, 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 blah. And it would creep them out. But they wouldn't always admit that they were creeped out. And so it was hard for me to tell that difference. But it's hard for me to accept it too, because I just wanted them to like me. And there was one girl who even deleted me, and I tried refriending her a couple of times, thinking that it might have just been a mistake. But then after like the fifth time I tried to friend her, I got blocked from sending friend requests. And I got really discouraged. And I realized that I can't friend people if they had defriended me. And I mean, I did see her once since she defriended me, and she put her arm around me and asked if everything was okay. But I mean, but it's like I'd always think that someone would have to be really nasty to me or tell me off specifically in order for me to get the picture that they don't want to be my friend. Because when I was a little kid, I always learned from Sesame Street that everyone should be everybody's friend no matter what. And that method of thinking has really grained into my mind. It's really hard for me to let it go. And I mean, most of these people are people that I've known for years, like since grade school. And I'd always figured that, like, if I ran into somebody who I knew from grade school, then it would be okay to talk to them. But there was one point where I ran into somebody on the train, and the conductor had to pull me away from her because I just wasn't getting the picture that she wasn't interested in the conversation, and the conductor was. And it's like, I just don't think I'm ever going to get what I want out of life. And like, and it's like, more than anything right now, all I really want is a girlfriend. A girlfriend that I pick out of my own choice. And I'm very shallow when it comes to looks. And I can't help that. There have been girls that have been interested in me, but I'm not interested in them just because I don't think they're good looking enough. I'm a very shallow person and I can't help it. And I think that, like, if I were to, do something with them or go out with them, I just wouldn't be satisfied because I wish that I was with somebody else. In fact, there was one girl that I used to go out with who used to get frustrated with me and call me her pity friend because I'd sometimes talk to her about other girls that I liked. And that would frustrate her because I wasn't happy with her as my girlfriend. And I mean, this girl wasn't beautiful, but she wasn't ugly either. I just wanted somebody who was beautiful. And people have told me that I need to lower my standards a little bit when it comes to looks, but I just feel like I can't do that. I have to be the same way that I've been for 27 years. And I can't change. And right now it's summer, so I like going to the beach. And a lot of the time I just go by myself, which is fine. But see, there's this one beach where I know a couple of girls that go there regularly, and they're people that have issues with me, so it's like, I wonder how they'd react if they saw me on that beach. And furthermore, I wouldn't even know how to go about it. Because it's like I'm not sure I'd be able to leave them alone. I might feel the need to start talking to them. And I mean, I don't know if they'd be okay with it. They might be, but they might not be. And I'm just really confused. Because it's really hard to tell if a girl is creeped out. There was even a time a few months ago when I was in Florida and I met these girls at the bar at my hotel. and I was too hesitant to say anything to them because I didn't want to creep them out. But the next night I saw them again at the hot tub, and I started talking to them a little bit, but very shortly after that, they left the hot tub, and I'm guessing it's because they were a little afraid. That wasn't my intention, and it's like I couldn't even tell that they were creeped out, but an older woman in the hot tub thought that I did. So, yeah, and that is pretty much what I've been through for these past couple of years. And I don't think I'm ever going to have a happy and healthy life. I mean, I'd like to just get my way sometime. I'm just not sure that's ever going to happen. And I don't know what it's going to lead to in the long run. Probably end up living on the street, or like maybe in a homeless shelter, or even a mental institution, or a group home. I mean, I don't really know what those places are like, but I do know of a few people that ended up in those. If anyone has been to one of those places or been through the same things that I have, I mean, that would be great because then I'd have somebody that I could relate to. I mean, I do have a friend who's had similar issues as me that's had trouble with girls. And I really do feel like I go through very similar things.